we're live.
Whoa! I'm glad we're live on that. Holy cow. Almost died. All right, so today we're in studio with Ozone. I was in the market for a new system, and there are a couple of basic considerations that I needed to figure out in order to get into that system. How much am I putting on it from a load capacity? Where am I going and what am I doing with it? What do I want in terms of now versus later? So I'll break it down for you. The things that I took into consideration were the material that the system is made out of, the size of the bowl that's on top of the tripod, which translates to the capacity of the head that goes on top of that tripod, and overall, the amount of capacity that I wanted the system to be able to handle. Until recently, I have been shooting on heads like this. This is a Manfrotto N8. I have the N12 as well, and the quality of what I'm able to produce on this is fine, but there are issues with it. And the biggest issue I have with this head is friction lag or pan lag. So that is when you go to initiate a pan and you get that little bit of lag where you don't have the same amount of friction and it jumps a little bit, and that just looks bad. The tilt drag here on the side and the pan drag, which is adjustable down here, are independent. They're infinitely adjustable. That's great for some people. For me, I would like to have a much more repeatable and specific setting. So the Socklers, and here on the Ozones especially, all of the tilt and pan drags are enumerated. So they've got a number on them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can set the drag and you can match the drag between the pan and the tilt, the pan and the tilt, easily, so that when you're doing a diagonal pan, or a diagonal move, they actually match. The other thing that really frustrates me about the Manfrotto heads that I have and the other less expensive heads that are available out there is they're not actually manufactured in the same way that these are. There is in here a couple of plates, and between the plates there is some grease. And they just stick the plates together, and the grease is what creates the friction. And they adjust the amount of friction there is by pressing the plates together harder. The way that Sockler and Ozone do it, they have the same plates in there, but each click, they increase the number of plates that are engaged between the grease rather than pressing the grease together harder. And what that means is you're getting a much more repeatable and you're getting a much more accurate pan or tilt. On the Ozone fluid heads, because there are 3, 4, 5 plates engaged and the grease is all in different spots, when you initiate, it always initiates in that same spot and you never have a jump. These tripod systems have been with me all over the world. From Haiti, I've traveled to 20 or 30 different states here in the United States with them. They've been put fully through their paces, and this isn't coming from a sales pitch perspective. I'm not pitching to you today because Ozone is handing me a check. They're actually not handing me a check. They've provided this equipment to me to evaluate. I've got an Ozone rep here in the studio with me today who I'm thankful for, who's making sure that I'm quoting their speed and feed numbers correctly.
All right, so what do you need this gear any further, any more? And 0 to 7, so you have something under 10 pounds.
But the opinion that I'm giving you is 100% my own, and it's not just from using the equipment here in the studio. It's actually from using the equipment on set, filming feature-length narrative movies, commercial work, and significant travel with all of this equipment, so I can speak from that perspective too. So again, what I'm telling you is based on my experience and real-world experience, not just, mock play experience for the sake of reviewing a review unit. The other thing that is worth noting is I have had the full line of Ozone systems. All of their sticks, all of their fluid heads at my disposal. This is the smallest head that I've got and that they make. This is the 5, and it's geared more toward my mirrorless cameras, Sony, Blackmagic, DSLRs, Canons. Then you've got everything up to the 18, and here's the 20. The 20 back there, that's more of a studio head, I'd say. It's for a big cinema rig that you'd be using in studio or on a big budget film set with a really built up camera. Okay, there's one thing that I didn't mention in the lineups that I actually should have mentioned, and that is the way that you connect your camera to the head. And the reason I didn't mention that is in part because Ozone doesn't make me choose that in choosing their tripod system. With Sockler and other manufacturers, you need to go into it knowing what type of connection you want. For example, Sockler? On most systems, you have two choices of how the camera connects to the head. One is from Sockler, and the other is from Manfrotto, and this is a 501 plate. Both have advantages and disadvantages. Traditionally, when you're choosing a system, you need to pick one of those options relatively early in the process, because systems don't usually come with both options across the entire range. Ozone, however, does offer the option of either plate across nearly their entire range. On their 5, for example, they do have what is called as the mini Sockler Plate, which is just a smaller version of this. But you can get the side load, or the Manfrotto 501, as I call it, across their entire lineup. The benefits of the two. This plate here drops into, I'll just show you. I chose poorly. I'll just show you. All right, nope. I'll just show you. That's going in, you have to leave that whole thing in. All right, so this is the receiver. Oh God, that's heavy. This is the receiver for the Sockler Plate. You'll notice that the Sockler Plate has 2 screws that are relatively close together. On top, I'll get to why that's important in a second, but you can drop it in either orientation, push it down, and it firmly locks in. This surface up here is now completely planar. It's all on one level. It's all flush. It doesn't stick up, and you've got a really big surface up here for whatever you're putting on it. And then this entire thing, there's a doozy right here. I'm gonna call that a doozy. There's a doozy right there. This knob, you release that, and now this whole plate slides forward and back on the head. That allows you to balance your rig by, in this case, 7 centimeters forward and back. Take 2. This is the nightmare that is camera mounting plates. You have 2 traditional choices. You've got the Manfrotto side load, or 501 style plate. You've got the Sockler Plate easy load system. And those are I would say, the industry standard. But Sockler also offers a mini plate. And then there are, of course, the usual 501 style, side load style plates that aren't directly compatible with the Manfrotto 501, but are side load or this elongated plate style in general. I'm gonna take these away for just a second. One of the downsides to this plate is it's not very long. It connects to your camera in 2 places here. I've got a 3/8 and a 1/4-20, and some cameras have those connection points underneath, but not all of them do. And in some cases, you want that connection spread out a little bit further, and that's when you get into a side load, because you can actually connect on some cameras a little bit wider setup, and that gives you a little bit more torsional stability in your setup. So let's get this out of the way, and I'll now show you a side load style, which is this guy here. You take the plate, you drop it in, let's see if I can do this. You drop it in like this. So one end is up, and then you can drop the other side down in, and it clicks into place, and then you can tighten it. Now when it's clicked into place, even before it's tight, it is captured. So it won't fall off the head, but it's not tight. This is really easy to adjust. So when you are running and gunning, one of the benefits to this plate is that you can more quickly balance your rig on the head. But one of the downsides to this style is that every time you drop your camera onto this head, you've got to remember where it balances or rebalance it. Whereas, and I didn't mention this before, with the Sockler style, easy load as Ozone calls it, once it's clicked in, you are exactly where you need to be. You don't have to adjust your load forward and aft on this head for it to be balanced. There they are side by side, and you can just see. I mean, granted that these heads are dramatically different capacity heads to begin with, but even so, the size of the plate, even on their biggest side load, Ozone's largest, which is the 20, doesn't get much bigger than the, what is this, the 12 I've got here? So here's the 12 next to the 20, and yeah, the 20 is larger in surface area, but it's not that much larger as compared to the massive platform that is the 20 or the 18. Easy load. If you have a rig where you change the setup often in terms of what you have on it, or you have a rig that only has a single connection point on the bottom, I would recommend you go with the side load style. And that is because every time you adjust your rig weight balance, you have to, or you can, adjust where this lands on the head. That's great if you're changing your setup, or like I said, you have a system that only connects in one spot, because this is going to give you greater area of connection. The benefit of the Sockler style is that if your rig stays roughly the same weight forward and aft, then every single time you drop your camera onto this head, it's going to be exactly balanced. You don't have to finagle it forward and back and rebalance it. This is awful. I'm all over the place. So I think that's it. Let's sum this all up for you. When choosing a system, the things to consider are the material that your tripod is made out of, aluminum, carbon fiber, the size of the bowl, 75 millimeter or 100 millimeter. There are other sizes, but those are the two that we'll deal with today. And the third thing is the weight capacity, where your cameras fall in the capacity of the heads. And the last thing are the plate styles, be it the Sockler style or the Manfrotto style.